Madame Bovary, A Desperate Dance of Love and Desire. Madame Bovary is a novel by French author Gustave Flaubert published in 1856. The novel is considered one of the most important works of modern literature and is credited as the founding work of realist literature. The novel begins with the introduction of Emma Bovary, who has recently married Charles Bovary in a small village in Normandy, France. Although the marriage initially seems promising, Emma soon becomes disillusioned with village life and dissatisfied with her new status as a housewife. As a young girl, she had envisioned and longed for passion and romance in sentimental novels. However, the reality of a peasant woman's life was dull and unfulfilling compared to what she had imagined in her books. The village is small and isolated, with few social or cultural activities. Emma finds her days empty and boring as she spends her time on menial chores and household tasks. Her husband, Charles, though kind-hearted and straightforward, is devoted to his work as a country doctor and lacks knowledge and worldliness. He is unable to understand or fulfill Emma's emotional needs. Living with Charles in their modest home, Emma is overwhelmed by loneliness, dissatisfaction, and disillusionment. She had hoped for a life filled with drama, excitement, and companionship, but instead felt trapped in the monotony of daily life. As a rich girl, she was accustomed to enjoying the finer things and therefore had difficulty adapting to the frugality and rustic limitations of her new rural surroundings. Her despair grew stronger by the day. This sets the stage for her later pursuit of fleeting pleasures and ill-fated extramarital affairs in an attempt to find meaning and escape from the stifling reality of the countryside. Later, in the village, she begins to take piano lessons from a young man named Leon who boards at the home of a local gentleman farmer. Leon is of a higher social class than the villagers and is more worldly and educated than Emma's husband, Charles. Leon's attention to Emma stimulates her intellect and flatters her. Over time, their sessions evolve into long hours of conversation and walks together. Leon is charming and admires Emma's beauty and intelligence. For the first time, Emma experiences the feeling of being truly seen, understood, and appreciated. She revels in the stolen moments when the two share stories of literary love and passionate romance. What begins as an innocent attraction between Emma and Leon develops into a full-fledged romance. They have secret rendezvous in the countryside where they tell each other their feelings and embrace intimately. For a time, Emma revels in the excitement and drama of forbidden love. Leon showers her with gifts and fills her with passion every day. This is in stark contrast to her regular life with Charles. However, Leon soon realizes that as a young unmarried man who has yet to start a family, he cannot commit to a long life with Emma in the village. When he receives a job offer in another city, he is ready to leave Emma to pursue his career. On the day of his departure, Leon's carriage drives away, taking Emma's fantasies of a romantic life with it. The promise of a fleeting romance is shattered, and she is faced with the reality of returning to a loveless marriage. Having tasted passion, she feels more empty and unfulfilled than ever. After being abandoned by Leon for some time, Emma meets up with Rodolphe Boulanger, a wealthy, single landowner in the village. Cynical but bored, Rodolphe finds Emma exceptionally beautiful and charming. He enjoys flattering her and appeasing her pride. Despite knowing that it will not end well, Emma is deeply attracted to Rodolphe. Their affair begins with furtive letters and secret meetings at his chateau. Rodolphe showers Emma with lavish gifts and attention. For the first time, Emma truly feels desired and admired by a sophisticated man. From then on, Emma falls deeply in love with Rodolphe and lives for their passionate rendezvous. In his company, she escapes the dreary life of a housewife. Rodolphe takes Emma on trips, misleading people into thinking they're an ordinary romantic couple. Emma fantasizes about a future where they can be together bright and early, away from the confines of country life. However, Rodolphe has no real intention of leaving his respectable, uninhibited life in society for Emma. Over time, he grew tired of the responsibilities and risks involved in their affair. When the time came, Rodolphe suddenly told Emma that he could no longer see her because he was engaged to another woman who would secure his inheritance. The shock to Emma of losing not only Rodolphe, but also her dream of spending her life with him, was unbearable. She fell into a deep depression. At this point, shame, remorse, and longing for the future consumed her. Emma became more lonely and desperate than ever. Unable to find satisfaction and fulfillment in her daily life, she longed to escape reality through indulgence and material enjoyment. Emma begins to frequent lavish balls and social gatherings outside the village in an attempt to integrate herself into aristocratic society. She spends lavishly, purchasing gorgeous clothing and jewelry and renovating her house, all of which is beyond her family's meager means. It is during this time that Emma crosses paths with Léon Dupuis, a young law clerk who once had a crush on her. Léon now has a successful career in Rouen and is flattered by Emma's attention and charm. She convinces him to offer her increasingly large loans. Leon lends Emma more and more money while she splurges on luxuries and entertainment. Emma lives only for fleeting indulgences, which can give her a temporary break from her depression. Underneath the luxury, however, are mounting debts that are quickly spiraling out of control. By the time Leon begins to demand repayment of the debt, Emma has nothing left. Ashamed and desperate, she realizes that she is too deep into a financial and emotional quagmire to pull herself out. In this misguided quest for meaning through materialism and vanity, it seems that only bankruptcy and total destruction await Emma and her family. One night, Charles discovers a letter from Rodolphe to Emma that clearly indicates an affair between them. He is stunned and deeply hurt by Emma's betrayal. However, Charles's character is simple and kind. He and his feelings for his wife are unwavering. Charles's first reaction is not anger or blame, but concern for Emma's well-being. He notices Emma's growing depression and blames himself for not being able to make her happy. In that moment, Charles's fatherly love and tenderness for Emma eclipses any wounded pride or ego. Charles approached Emma with the letter in hand, uneasiness showing on his frank face. But to Emma's shock, he is not angry or threatening revenge. Instead, he gazed at her sadly and said that he had always forgiven her for everything in her past because he felt so deeply for her. Charles pleaded with Emma to confide in him and accept his help so that they could save their marriage. Emma was impressed by Charles's simple and unconditional forgiveness. Although she does not love him, in that moment, Emma feels guilty for the kindness Charles has always shown her. His kindness had saved them both from more pain, at least for now. Despite Charles's forgiveness, Emma's despair continued to deepen. No matter how many luxuries she purchases or pastimes she pursues, she is unable to free herself from the waves of emotions and regret-filled memories. Emma realizes that neither past lovers nor fleeting pleasures can soothe the emptiness inside her. Debt-ridden and with a bleak future ahead of her, Emma decides that death is the only way to escape the unbearable pain. She secretly buys a large quantity of arsenic from an apothecary. On a cold winter day, Emma feigned illness to avoid Sunday, Massachusetts. When she was alone in her bedroom, she secretly swallowed all the poison. In her agony, Emma writes a farewell letter to Charles expressing her gratitude to him, despite her many shortcomings as a wife. Charles returns to find Emma in extreme danger, and he rushes her to the hospital. But it was too late. The arsenic had taken effect. As she takes her last breath in a hospital bed, Emma thinks not of past lovers or missed opportunities, but of freeing herself from a lifetime of discontent, pain, and darkness. With her final act, Emma shakes off the disappointment and despair that haunts her soul. The above is the storyline of the novel. Madame Bovary is known for its subtlety of description and emotional expression. With carefully chosen words and detailed descriptions, Austen delves into the emotions and inner experiences of her characters. Through the meticulous depiction of the setting, characters' appearance, behavior, and psychology, the novel conveys a wealth of emotions and feelings, enabling readers to feel deeply into the inner world of the characters. Austen focuses on the portrayal of the inner world of the characters in the novel. Through third-person narration, she directly enters into the thoughts and feelings of the characters, showing their inner conflicts, desires, and emotions. Through the in-depth portrayal of the characters' inner worlds, readers are able to better understand the characters' motivations and behaviors, as well as the conflicts and struggles they face. Metaphors and symbols are used in Madame Bovary to enhance the artistic effect of the novel. For example, Madame Bovary's estate in the novel symbolizes the power and privilege of aristocratic society, while Hatfield Hall symbolizes the reality and simplicity of the common class. Similarly, elements such as the weather, natural scenery, and seasonal changes in the novel are used as symbols to highlight important moments in the character's emotions and story development. Madame Bovary demonstrates Austen's distinctive literary style and artistic techniques through the portrayal of subtlety and emotional expression, in-depth descriptions of the character's inner worlds, and the use of metaphors and symbols. These techniques make the novel more vivid, touching, and capable of provoking readers to think deeply about human nature, society, and emotions. Now do an analysis of the main characters. Charles Bovary is one of the important characters in Madame Bovary. He is a loyal and kind man who holds a sincere belief in marriage. Charles shows deep feelings for Emma and wants to build a happy family. He has traditional values and believes that marriage should be based on mutual understanding, responsibility, and loyalty. Charles' sense of duty to his family and loyalty to his marriage is one of his main characteristics. Despite his discovery of Emma's infidelity, Charles chooses to forgive her, showing his deep love and forgiveness for Emma. He tries to understand the reasons behind it and believes that they can overcome the difficulties and rebuild their marriage. Charles is also introspective, and when he realizes Emma's betrayal, he begins to reflect on his role in the marriage and ponders whether there is any responsibility on his part. He shows mature thinking and a critical sense of himself. Charles displays a certain amount of ambivalence and struggle throughout the novel, as he is pained by Emma's betrayal, but also realizes that there are complex issues in the marriage. He tries to balance the conflict between his expectations of marriage and the reality. Charles' portrayal reflects an exploration of traditional values and concepts of marriage, and his sense of responsibility as a husband and commitment to his family shows his complexity and authenticity. Leon Rodolphe is one of the key characters in Madame Bovary. He displays a captivating charm and seductiveness that makes him play an important role in the story. Leon has a charming appearance and an attractive personality that makes him popular in social circles. He specializes in using clever words and actions to attract the attention of others, especially Emma. Leon's grasp of emotions and sensitivity enables him to accurately capture Emma's inner longings and dissatisfaction, which he then uses to lure her into an extramarital affair. He utilizes his charm and emotional proficiency to quickly capture Emma's heart. However, Leon also shows a selfish and cold side. He is more concerned with his own pleasure and fulfillment than with Emma's emotions and consequences. Leon eventually turns his back on Emma, leaving her in despair and disappointment. His behavior reveals his impetuous and irresponsible side of love and pushes Emma down a path of self-destruction. Leon is a complex character who represents the fraudulent and selfish side that has a huge impact on Emma's destiny. Emma, the main character in Madame Bovary, is a character rich and complex inner world. The following is an analysis of the character of Emma. Emma is a dreamer who pursues materialistic pleasures and romantic fantasies. She longs for an existence beyond her ordinary life and is dissatisfied with the reality of marriage and family. She holds romanticized fantasies of love and longs to seek inner satisfaction and fulfillment through love. Emma is an emotional seeker. She longs to be loved, noticed, and pursued. This makes her vulnerable to the temptations of men such as Leon. She falls into a series of extramarital affairs and tries to fill her inner emptiness and dissatisfaction through these romantic relationships. However, Emma also demonstrates inner disappointment and despair. Although she seeks love and romance time and time again, she ultimately realizes that they cannot satisfy her inner longings. She feels oppressed by reality and trapped in endless bitterness. This disappointment and despair eventually leads to her decision to end her life and seek relief. Emma's characterization also displays a degree of selfishness and self-centeredness. She often puts her own desires above others, ignoring the feelings and consequences of others. Her quest for personal fulfillment also wreaks havoc on her family, marriage, and society. Taken together, Emma is a complex and paradoxical character. She longs for a romantic fantasy that transcends reality, but ends up in despair and disappointment. Her quest for love and inner emptiness show her confusion about the meaning of life and her dissatisfaction with reality. Emma's image in the novel explores the conflict between personal desires, social pressures, and real life, making her a deeply attractive and thought-provoking character. Madame Bovary is set in 19th century France, and the novel portrays the society of that time more accurately. The novel reveals the hierarchy and stratification of French society. The aristocracy enjoyed privilege and social status, while the commoners were plagued by social restrictions and economic hardship. The disparity and conflict between social classes is demonstrated through the depiction of two different social environments, Madame Bovary's estate and Hatfield's estate. The 19th century was a time of change in the concept of marriage and family, and this change is reflected in Madame Bovary. The novel presents the strict social norms of marriage at that time, emphasizing the chastity of women and the stability of marriage. However, Emma's dissatisfaction with marriage and her free thinking represent a challenge to traditional ideas. Through Emma's story, the novel explores the constraints of the concepts of marriage and family, as well as the conflict between individual pursuits and societal expectations. Madame Bovary, as an important work of literature, had an impact on the society of its time. With its depiction of social class, marriage, and personal pursuits, the novel provoked reflection on social values and morals. The work's portrayal of women's roles and its critique of the institution of marriage provided some insight into the feminist thinking of the time, while also questioning the social constraints on women. Madame Bovary demonstrates the close connection between the novel and the social background of the time through the portrayal of 19th century French society, the changes in the concepts of marriage and family, and the influence of the work on the society of the time. By reflecting social reality and exploring social issues, the work provokes readers to think about the social system, the concept of marriage and personal freedom, making it one of the major works in 19th century French literature. That's it for this installment. Thanks for watching.